on FanDuel TV. The boys are back by popular demand, ready to dominate the card every which way. We welcome in Cousin Sal, we welcome in Joe House, and we welcome in Raheem Palmer. Here's what I know, Cousin Sal. You, my friend, have a very tough act to follow. That's all I'm going to say.
What, you mean your setup? I don't think that's very tough. Oh, you mean when I went 5-0 and had plus winners all over the place and picked the exact score of the Colts game? Yes. That is going to be tough. And I wish I could stay focused, but you understand, Tay-Tay changed the words to her finale and made it, it's not normally Chiefs, but she changed the word to, I can't focus. I'm out of my mind. My skin is crawling right now. Very exciting times.
Well, listen, it was an impressive display by you in Week 9. I can't wait to see what's in store for the encore. Joe House, I know you're in a more spirited mood than even usual. You're always in a spirited mood, but your Holy Cross Crusaders take down the Georgetown Hoyas. You know this as a Syracuse guy. Georgetown can't lose enough. Well done, Crusaders.
Yeah, we're popping the purple today, JJ. And we love the onset of what could be a giant theme for this weekend, which is giant dogs. There are a bunch that I like this week, and we've been pretty good with the dogs on this show. So let's catch a couple positive money line plays, fellas.
Well, House, you have been the king of the dog. It has been your standard of excellence all year. There's no denying that. Raheem, House brings up a good point, though. Have a lot of underdogs here in the Week 10 card who kind of fit that 6.5, 7.5 point range. You know, a lot of people are going to be teasing them down. I think one of those dogs, my friend, is going to be a barking.
Yeah, it's about time for these dogs to bark because this year the favorites have been coming in heavy. So House has been like the only person who could pick dogs consistently. So I think it's going to continue this week.
Well, we have a lot to get to, guys. Loaded show across the board. We will get to our wisest wagers. Cousin Sal has won 3 in a row with the wise wagers. We'll see if he can make it 4 straight. We're going to have updates from what should be a gem of a game in Germany between the New England Patriots and the Indianapolis Colts. We'll have the wise guys, same game parlays. You want to stay tuned for those. And then our buddy Brian Barrett from the Off the Pike podcast, who is a Boston guy and a conflicted Boston guy, because now the Patriots, the big bad Patriots are in tankathon mode and they want to lose games. Can't believe the world we're living in. So we got a loaded show here on Ringer Wise, guys. Let's get to, fellas, our wisest wagers of the week. Well, Cousin Sal, I'll start you off. You've won 3 in a row. You're coming off the week of perfection. Now it's time for the encore. Now it's time for dessert. What's our wisest wager?
Well, of course, I've been doing well, so I have to have my team, the team I root for. My jackhole Cowboys have to ruin it for me. But yes, I'm 6-3, trying to go 7-3 with the best bets. I'm putting adjusted line parlay here. Cowboys from 17.5 down to 11.5, and the Bills down to from 7 to minus 2.5. It's little worse than even, but still going to get you to the window to cash. Now, people are looking at the 17.5 line with the Cowboys and saying that's way too high. But if you look closely in FanDuel's terms and conditions, they say if one quarterback ever admits to living with his parents, then the line has to be at least 17 points. It's just a policy, you understand, JJ. It has nothing to do with anything else. Plus, the Cowboys beat them 40-0 with Daniel Jones in front of a hostile crowd, okay? A lot's happened to the Giants and all negative since then. So they should be able to cover 17.5, certainly 11.5 what I'm bringing it down to. And now, Buffalo, I'm sorry, they're virtually even to make the playoffs at this point, and I feel like you might as well just bet them money line if you think that they are going to make the playoffs. You'll get a little bit of an advantage here. Denver, everyone's like they're back. I feel like they played the Chiefs twice well, and that's it. I think we're going to see the old Denver. You look at the Bills, everyone's blaming their defense. It's 17.8 points per game, still 5th in the league. I think this is a big Josh Allen game. I think it's a big James Cook game, which has to happen for the Bills to succeed. The running game, that was succeed, that word. Minus 2.5, Bills and the Cowboys minus 11.5. That's my money line parlay.
Well, a couple of things there. Number one, I'm with you on that Buffalo even money bet to go and make the postseason. I know they have some tough games with Philly and Kansas City and against your Cowboys. They're getting to 10. I think they'll be there when it's all said and done. And Sal, I understand the point about living at home. And I know for Tommy DeVito, those chicken cutlets, they're tough to pass up when you got the Italian mother in the kitchen cooking up those wonderful those chicken cutlets. They are great. but unfortunately, they're going to be a little rotten for him going against your Dallas Cowboys here on Sunday. I get it. I like that tease. House, there's a team that's been good to me. Apparently, rumor has it you're going to be taking that team as your wisest wager. Who would that be?
Well, only the very best team in the NFL by all the advanced metrics through 9 weeks. And we're talking about the Baltimore Ravens laying 6.5 points at home against the Cleveland Browns. This is one of your classic AFC North strength on strength, two of the best defenses in the NFL. And we know that these games tend to be decided by one score, 4 of the past 6, and they tend to split these two teams. For the past 5 seasons, these two teams have split the matchup. I can't get there with this Browns team, and I can't get there with Deshaun Watson. The problem with Cleveland is they can't move the football and they can't score. And it's probably, to be fair, not entirely the offensive version of these Browns that they imagined when they sat down. Nick Chubb being out for the season is a bummer. But the bigger bummer is the gigantic contract that they gave to a guy that is in the bottom 8 of quarterback rankings and ratings by virtually all metric, bottom 5 when he's under pressure. And I absolutely love this Ravens defense under Mike McDonald scheming up some pressure to make Deshaun Watson uncomfortable. He's uncomfortable back there anyhow. He's looking to check down, think and dunk. So I really like the idea of this Ravens defense scheming up to take care of Mr. Watson. And then the other thing is the Ravens love to run the ball. They're very successful running the ball in the red zone. Surprisingly, the Cleveland Browns are vulnerable to red zone rushes. They haven't been very good this season, 28th in the red zone in terms of red zone rushing touchdowns. So I'm on the Ravens laying. I wouldn't have played it if it was at 7 or 7.5, but under 7, I'm on this Ravens team. They take care of business at home. They're going to continue to take care of business at home.
Well, House, I like it. Cleveland's defense has been drastically different when you put them on the road. That's a good point. And if you look at Baltimore at home, their last couple of weeks, they've laid the smackdown. They laid the smackdown against Seattle. They laid the smackdown against the Detroit Lions. I expect that to be the case. I do not think Cleveland will be one of those 6.5 point underdogs that goes and wins the game outright. Now, Raheem, you are going with a total for your wisest wager of the week. What do we have in mind, sir?
I'm going to go with Saints Vikings under 41. It is 40.5 at FanDuel right now, but 41 is the key number. So if you could find 41, that would be key. It's the year of the under in NFL. Only 38.5% of games have gone over the total. We're looking at unders hitting at 83, 52, and 1, 61%. But when you break down this game here, you got two teams who they can't score in the red zone. The Saints are 28th in red zone TD percentage, and the Vikings are 23rd. So that's bad right there. You got two top 10 defenses. The Vikings are 10th in defensive DVOA, but they played the 4th ranked schedule of opposing offenses. The Saints are 9th in defensive DVOA. They played the 14th ranked schedule of opposing offenses. So I expect both defenses to get off here. You look at Josh Dobbs. He had that win last week. Well, the Saints and this defense, they're not going to allow Dobbs to just roll out to his right and hit open receivers all day long. Since week 5, Josh Dobbs has the 2nd worst EPA and 4th worst success rate in the NFL during that period. You look at the Vikings. Their whole receiving core and offense is in the hospital. Justin Jefferson banged up. KJ Osborne, concussion. Kristen Darrisaw, left tackle, he missed last week's game. TJ Hockenson has a rib injury. This team is banged up. And more importantly, they can't run the ball. Alexander Madison, 3.6 yards per carry. So if you can't run the ball and you can't rely on Josh Dobbs, you're not going to score many points. I like the under for this game. Not going to be a lot of points at all.
I'm not gonna kill Raheem for the under pick, but I don't like all the negativity thrown Josh Dobbs' way. He is a top 3 quarterback in today's NFL. House, name 3 better quarterbacks than Josh Dobbs right now. You can't do it. I'll give you the rest of the hour.
Tyson Bagent, Clayton Tune,
Oh, he
and
did it. Crap.
Tyler Heineke.
Yeah, he did it. Wow. Challenge accepted. You delivered, House. Nice job. What a terrible slate this is.
Terrible.
Well, boys, speaking of bad quarterbacks, I am about to go and invest in a bad quarterback as my wisest wager of the week. And I'm going to take it a step forward. I think this is my favorite wisest wager that I've given out in the history of Ringer Wise, guys. So I want it to be a family play for all of us. I want to be united together in this particular beak. It's Sunday night. It's for all of America to see. I love the New York Jets only laying a point against the Vegas Raiders. The Vegas Raiders had their Super Bowl last week against the New York Giants. They smoked Tommy DeVito and his chicken cutlets. They're smoking cigars after the game. They're throwing a party that Josh McDaniels is no longer their head coach. Now they get an angry, ticked-off defense. I understand I'm putting my money on Zach Wilson. This is the same knucklehead who bet against Zach Wilson as his wisest wager a week ago in the LA Chargers. And none of you guys wanted to get on board. I got scolded for picking the Chargers. They didn't have to do anything on offense. The Jet offense screwed it up. Well, this week, the Jet defense is going to go win him the game. I think the Raiders are as hungover as me walking out of Encore on a Saturday night after rolling the dice till 4 or 5 in the morning. Fellas, I need all of you to get on board. That means you, House. That means you, Sal. That means you, Raheem. Jets, Jets. Their season's on the line. They lose this game. They're cooked. They're done. I don't want to hear from them again. Come on, Sal. Only laying a point. You got to like the Jets.
I'm with you. I actually am with you in this. I feel like whenever a team pulls out the cigars in the locker room, you should adjust the spread 3 points the other way. Like that, you're right. They considered that there's a Super Bowl, and maybe Antonio Pierce is the answer, but there is a letdown factor. And I don't know if I want to say like the Jets, what's the chances they lay an egg twice in a row on primetime? Well, chances could be good. I think you're betting the Jets defense here. I think you're betting O'Connell to turn it over or something weird happened, because you can't be excited about Zach Wilson under any circumstances, right?
I'm not, but guess what? The Jet defense, Raheem, is the best unit on the field. And it's not like, Jim Plunkett is going to be playing quarterback or Rich Gannon is going to be playing quarterback. Right. For the Raiders. It's Aiden O'Connell. Jet defense should win this game by themselves as far as I'm concerned.
I'm not quite sure that's the case. And the reason why is because the Jet offensive line may be the worst unit on the field. You look at last week against the Chargers. They gave up 8 sacks to Joey Bosa. Now you got to deal with Max Crosby. And then when you look at Zachary Wilson, I mean, this is a guy who was dead last in EPA per play and success rate. So that Raiders defense may be able to match what the Jets defense is doing. And when you look at the Jets the last 3 weeks, 20 points against the Eagles, 7 which came off that interception, 13 points against the Giants. The Giants can't stop a nosebleed, and then 6 points against the Chargers. So I wish you the best of luck, but this one's ugly.
Not getting an endorsement. House, can you break the tie? Can you make it 3 or 4 and ride with me here with the Jets?
God, I hate this so much. I really, I've said many times that I can't live in a world where I look at myself in the mirror and I have money riding on Zach Wilson. But JJ, I'm here for you, buddy. I really do agree with the notion that this is the Jets season, and the Jets still, even under all of the duress that they've experienced this year, are live to make the playoffs. They have to win this game. If they have, it'll be over if they don't win this game. So I'll grit my teeth and ride with you as a good family member.
Well, I feel dirty as someone who roots for the Miami Dolphins, but on Sunday night, 8 o'clock, Jets, Jets. All right, fellas, let's take a look at what's going on in Germany between the New England Patriots and the Indianapolis Colts. And what we have here is the pregame wisest wagers for this disgrace of a Sunday early morning game with the woeful Patriots and the mediocre Colts. Raheem, you know why I took the Colts here? Number one, I think they're better. Number two, I know all of these Patriot fans in our lives, specifically Bill from Los Angeles, are rooting against their team. They want Caleb Williams. They want May out of UNC. I figured I can finally get in the good graces of our colleagues here at The Ringer who are Patriot fans by picking against them. So you and I decided to go down that road, right?
Yeah, I initially decided to go down that road just because I looked at the Patriots very similar to what you saw from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year. last year, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you had sharp money on them every single week, and the market never really caught up to them. Now, it's unfortunate because at halftime, I told you guys I had a second half play on this game. And obviously, the second half has already started. But I think the Patriots are going to win this game. And I would suggest, it's a little late now. You can't get the Patriots +4. You can't get them +200 like you could at halftime. But I watched this game, and the biggest issue with this game is that the Colts can't run the ball. They're averaging 3 yards a carry. The Patriots are able to run the ball. So they're putting the ball in the hands of Gardner Minshew, and it's a wild card. And as you saw, to open the half, he threw an interception. So the Patriots have been waiting for this game for a long time. You heard Robert Kraft talk about it. They wanted to play in Germany. I think they're going to win this game. So I would find the best price you can on the Patriots live in the markets and take it.
Well, you're not going to like this, Raheem. They just missed a field goal a moment ago, so they had an opportunity to make it 7-6. They missed. It's 7-3. Sal, this game is so gross. What was your thought process here in playing over touchdowns for Mac Jones?
Well, I'm rooting for Raheem here, but it's not going to come at the expense of Mac Jones throwing more than 1.5 touchdown passes, which was my bet going in. It was +154. Now you can get it at like +700 or something. So I already lost the bet. And screw you, Bill Simmons, for trading Mac Jones to me in a league that I'm in with him and House, this cockamamie league where you have to start 2 quarterbacks and there's like one guy hoarding 6 quarterbacks, and I am forced to give up a premier running back for Mac Jones. It really stinks. House, you could add to it. House tried to give me a guy, Justin Fields, who's not even going to be in the league in 2 years, so he's no better.
What are you talking about? I tried to give him to you at a good price. Speaking of good price, the right price for this game was a stay away. Don't spend any money whatsoever on this horrendous football game. The only way I was willing to play it was on Ramondre Stevenson over 46.5 rushing yards. He's right there right now. I think he's like at 42, and only because the Colts let the lead running back get at least 50 yards in 7 of their 9 games this year, and each of the last 3 games. So I feel pretty good about that, but I'm knocking on wood because anything is possible between these 2 garbage teams. But let's get Ramondre across the yardage goal line at least.
Well, I'm not going to lie. Out of all the bets on the board, I would feel the best, House, about that one. And Dream, you had it with the Colts in the under. You might actually end up hitting the pick that you gave out here on our graphic. And what you just said there about the Patriots may go up in flames. Sometimes, right, we just got to stick to the script. I know I like to get off script all the time, but I would have stuck with the script. Anyway, we'll see.
The under looks good, though. The under's still going to hit, but I think the Patriots going to win this game. I see the way this game is going, and I'm not encouraged by the way the Colts are playing.
Raheem, why aren't we just betting unders? I mean, I know the standalone games are great on the unders, and just unders in general are at some crazy percentage over 54, right?
Yeah, I mean, unders are hitting 61% of the time, and then primetime unders are hitting even better than that. It's almost automatic. I mean, right now, the live over-under at FanDuel for this game is 25.5. So, I mean, we're looking at, baseball totals at this point in time with the Texas Rangers. So, at this point in time, you should just be betting unders.
They're not baseball totals involving the New York Yankees and the New York Mets with the way they swung the bats this year. Just throwing that out there. All right, Sal. Let's get an SGP. What do you got for us on Sunday?
What do I have? Oh, this Lions-Chargers game should be a good one. Although, I don't know. Maybe the Chargers lay down. We've seen them beat up on subpar teams as, who was it? They beat up the Bears and they beat up the Jets, so we all like for this week, kind of. But listen, I'm taking the Lions +7.5. They're on the road, kind of. I still think there's going to be 27,000 Jared Goff jerseys in there as the Lions in SoFi, because that's what happens. Goff over 275.5. He's done this 3 times in a row. This in his homecoming, like I said, to SoFi. Total points over 38.5. We'll get that easy. And Jahmyr Gibbs, anytime touchdown, he scored in the last 2. You get that at +316. I don't know. I looked it up. The Chargers, I don't think, have won 3 in a row since the Dan Fouts game. So Dan Fouts year. So let's take Detroit big all over the place.
Well, and I like the idea of an SGP with that Lion-Charger game because it just has insanity written all over it. That game has 35-31. Last team with the ball wins. Fun game to bet. Fun game to get involved for an SGP. Now, guys, it's time to get made. There we go. I was waiting for a rat. I saw a rat run across me the other day when I'm in my neighborhood in Brooklyn. Keep the rats away. Keep them under the subway. Time to nail our rat line of the week. And fellas, I'm going to start the proceedings since I just saw a rat in Brooklyn about 24 hours ago. I think it's the Washington-Seattle game. House, I know a lot of people are going to be teasing Seattle against your Commanders. The Commanders coming against the win against the New England Patriots. Seattle, a team a lot of people are high on. Something seems off with this game. It's gone from 6.5 to 5.5. They're getting nothing but Seattle money in the market. And Geno Smith has not played great. Geno Smith has been subpar, to say the least. He has not been the quarterback he was a season ago where he was a candidate for comeback player of the year. House, I'm not saying that your Commanders are definitely going to win the game, but I really feel confident that they're going to find a way to cover this number because it just is working against them. Seattle at 5.5 seems too good to be true. House, my boy, I smell a rat.
JJ, you were talking about the tease angle for this one. I had my left hand raised for this because that's exactly the right way to play this. And it's because Washington is at the end of a brutal travel schedule. They've been on the road 5 of the past 7 games. Are coming from New England to Seattle. I don't know if you could get 2 parts on the United States of America that are further apart. And the number seems kind of fair. Washington's been pretty good as on the road this year, covering spreads. But teaser-wise, if you're asking me to bring Seattle down, either as a money line leg for Seattle to win outright or in a teaser capacity, I support Seattle. I think they have to bounce back after that showing against Baltimore last week, JJ.
Fair enough. I'm just telling you, I know a rat when I see it. That smells like a rat. All right, Raheem, what do we got for our rat line of the week?
I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting the Tennessee Titans, laying 2.5. This is an ugly, ugly game for me. A lot of people are going to want to take the Titans. We all know about Mike Vrabel as an underdog, 29-20-1. As an underdog, as a straight-up loss, 12-9-1. And he's covered 3 out of the last 4 games in this spot. But when you break down the actual game, the matchups, this is a bad matchup for the Titans defense. The secondary is weak. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, they should be able to get off on a Titans secondary, which is 27th in dropback EPA and 30th in dropback success rate. So you look at that matchup, and it's not something that I would want to play. And then when you look at Tampa, they have a solid run defense. So Will Levis may not be able to rely on Derrick Henry in this spot. I don't know how you back either one of these 2 teams here, so I'm staying away.
It smells like a rat, and I wouldn't like, if I had money on Tennessee, the fact that this line has been moving against them over the course of the week. All right, Haas, what's our rat line?
I am on this Minnesota-New Orleans game, and the lead item for me is, Minnesota historically has had one of the very best home field advantages in the NFL. Now, over time, home field advantage has diminished, and it's not quite worth 3 points anymore. But if we say that Minnesota has a 2.5 point home field advantage, the New Orleans Saints is 2.5 point favorites. So what we're saying is that the Saints and the Vikings on a neutral field, the Saints are 5 points better. I just can't get there. This New Orleans Saints team featuring Derek Carr at quarterback, 18-35-1 against the spread. That's 34% as a favorite. And Dennis Allen at 5-14-1 against the spread as a favorite. That's 26%. We watched this vaunted Saints defense last week against the fearsome Chicago Bears. And they gave up 220 passing yards and then let my man Teabag Tyson Bagent run for another 70 yards. If it wasn't for the 5 turnovers by the Bears were live to win that football game down in New Orleans the entire time. Now, look, the Saints are healthier. Dream went through all of the issues on the receiving core for the Vikings. So I understand the idea of why you might want the Saints outright here. But the idea of the Saints favored by 2.5 or 3 points, the market's been bouncing a little bit over the Vikings with their home field advantage. Josh Dobbs is perfectly fine as quarterback for this team. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Smells like a rat. Okay, Sal. There's one that I think you're going to go with. Yeah. And when I was going through rat lines this week, a bunch of these games that we mentioned kind of fit the bill. The Titan Buck game fit the bill. The same Viking game fit the bill. There's one more. It's in the 4 o'clock window. Let's see what it is.
Yeah, well, you're leading me into Atlanta, Arizona. Like, I don't understand this at all. Like, everybody loves the Falcons. Everybody loves betting the Falcons all the time. The Cardinals couldn't be worse. All right, I get it. They have Kyler Murray coming back and James Conner. Those guys automatically going to light it up? I can't imagine that this team that's lost 6 in a row, an average margin of loss, is MOL something? Yeah, 16 points a game. And everybody loves betting the Falcons, and yet it still can't go to 3. All right, it is at least 2.5. It was 1.5 when I started this rant, but I'm not doing it. House, when you talk about Arthur Smith and Arthur Blank, what 3 letters are in Arthur if you mix them up? Rat. Any way you look at it, it's rat. Smith, Blank, there you go. Rat line. Stay away from this mess.
Well, I appreciate the creativity. That's brilliant creativity.
Thank you. It took me like an hour and a half to figure that out.
That might be the greatest contribution you've ever given to Ringer Wise guys, including your undefeated week. All right, Raheem, SGP time. What do we got, buddy?
Okay, so we're going to go back to that Saints game. I like the Saints -2.5 at FanDuel. You can find that on the alternate spread. It has moved to 3, but you want to get that 2.5. That's very, very key here. I also like the total points under 42.5 alternate spread. And I also like Kamara over 4.5 receptions. When you look at Alvin Kamara, he's second in the team in receptions with 43 behind Chris Olave. So he's the security blanket. I already broke down all the injuries to the Minnesota Vikings. I just think this is a great spot for the Saints to capitalize on this team that's just really banged up. They are top 10 in every defensive metric, so they should be able to win this game.
Well, I love myself an SGP where we can jack up those odds +500, +550. In Raheem's case, at +575, I wish you the best of luck. We got a lot more coming up, fellas. In this Week 10 edition of Ringer Wise Guys, we'll have Man's Best Bet. We'll see if Joe House can stay hot. We got more SGPs coming your way. We'll get emails where you can advise or ask the Wise Guys. I don't even know what we're calling the segment, but your emails, your comments, all that more. It's coming up right here. Ringer Wise Guys, Week 10 edition, right here on FanDuel TV. Welcome back to Ringer Wise Guys, right here on FanDuel TV. And as you see right there, some outstanding programming coming your way on FanDuel TV this week. Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern, will be yours truly with Joe House and Raheem Palmer for East Coast bias as we'll preview the week. We'll get you set for the weekend in the NBA. That wonderful in-season tournament that so many people are so fired up about. Not this particular host, that's for sure. But we got you covered on East Coast bias. And then on Friday, Cousin Sal. Full cast of characters with Cousin Sal's winning weekend. Ricky Williams joined the show. I hope Ricky Williams was on good behavior when he was with you, Sal. I'll have to get the rundown on that.
Pretty mellow.
Friday. Oh, he was. He was on decent behavior. Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, FanDuel TV. All right, guys, let's get to these Germany picks. House, let's commend you. You nailed the winner. Ramondre Stevenson over 46.5. Sal, Mac Jones at 1.5 touchdowns. What would be the let's put it this way, Sal. If I could give you a line going into the fourth quarter on Mac Jones to throw 2+ touchdowns, what would that be? 10-1?
I think there is a line, right? I don't even want to look because it's depressing. Yeah, I think at this point, Raheem, right about 10-1, and he can't do it with one pass is the only problem. So that's what's working against me.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at right now on FanDuel, Mac Jones to throw 1 touchdown is plus 128. To throw 2 touchdowns is 11-1 right now. So House nailed it.
11-1.
Sal nailed it.
Want to get on, Sal? 11-1? You want to book it?
I want to get off. I want to get off at minus 700 or whatever I can do. Yeah, it's terrible.
Fair enough. Well, House, congratulations. You nailed your pick. And that leads me right into your SGP. You got an SGP for us, buddy. Let's hear it.
Yeah, so we have a principle on this show. Not many principles, but one of the principles is when we're picking our underdogs each week, these money line plays, they have to be of some stature. And I really like Tennessee this week. I like the Titans up against this pass funnel Buccaneers defense that wants to give up all kinds of explosive plays passing wise. And I've been really impressed by Will Levis. So what I did was do a little SGP for the people. We have the Titans money line. All I have to do is win outright, paired up with DeAndre Hopkins catching at least 60 yards worth of balls. That Levis-Hopkins connection has been wonderful. And then I played an over because I think what we're seeing out of this Buccaneers secondary, all of these explosive plays that they're giving up, all of a sudden you can score points. I took a look at possibly playing Tennessee as the highest scoring team this week, and it was in like the 35-1 territory. I don't have the cojones to go that route, but this little SGP, Titans money line, Hopkins 60 or more yards, over 32.5 total points between the teams, plus 367. I mean, if you like the Titans, and there's plenty of reason to, but the folks already ran through the Vrabel record, as a dog. And, again, Tampa giving up all these points is really the informing thesis here, fellas.
I gotta
Here's
say,
what I know. You can't quit Sal. He can't quit the Titans. No. I mean, I feel like every week Joe House is trying to get involved with Mike Vrabel and the Tennessee Titans any which way he can. He can't quit them.
He loves Vrabel. He loves. I kind of like. I'm in a trance when I'm watching House because the way he operates, he's like a concert pianist. He's got notes to his left and notes to his right, and he's anime. I feel like I'm watching Billy Joel at Madison Square Garden. JJ, he's really he's working it all.
Cousin Sal. Here we are again, stuck in the middle with you.
Gonna have to start calling House the maestro.
Yeah.
So maybe you'll start waving that wand, House, when you're giving out man's best bet, which we'll be doing in a little bit. But before we get to man's best bet, fellas, it's time that we get an email as you get a chance to ask the wise guys. Hey, Ringer Wise Guys, please advise. Thoughts on these 3 future bets? I followed the Cuz and the Sports Guy's suggestion in placing them. Jalen Hurts, NFL MVP. You see the cash out right there. Patrick Mahomes, NFL MVP. My guy Tua for comeback player of the year. You see the winnings. You see the cash out. Is it worth cashing out on any of them? I'm thinking maybe the Tua one. That comes from our friend in Perth, Australia. So, Cousin Sal, you guys gave out those picks early in the season when you did your pregame pod with Mr. Simmons. Would you advise our friend from Australia to cash out any of those bad boys, or would you let it ride?
Well, first of all, if the flight wasn't so damn long, I would go over there. I'd fly over and smack him in the face. You should not be taking our advice, mine and Simmons. That is for entertainment purposes only. But I kind of agree with the reader. I don't know. I think the Tua thing, JJ, you tell me. I don't feel like he's done enough. His odds, at least on FanDuel, haven't moved up considerably enough. I mean, it's Damar Hamlin all year long and before the year has been the favorite to win comeback player of the year. So if I was going to cash one, I think it would be Tua. We saw Josh Dobbs jump in the top 3 just from one performance. I don't feel like Tua's getting the love for comeback player of the year, and so that's the one I would cash.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get a whole lot of juice for that award. Raheem, I almost feel as if the NFL voters have in their mind that Damar Hamlin, because of what a great story it is, the fact that he's back in an NFL uniform, the fact that he's playing once again, he's getting that award, right? Like, to me, there's no way I'm betting on anybody for comeback player of the year. Damar Hamlin's going to be that guy.
Yeah, Damar Hamlin is definitely getting that award, but I'm not a big cash out guy. I'm not a big hedge guy. Hedging is for gardeners. Yeah. I'm a psychopath because I'm the type of person, I'm adding more. Like, we either going to win or we going to lose. And when it comes to Mahomes MVP or Hurts MVP, we're going to win or we going to lose. Sometimes you just got to have some balls. I'm not saying that you don't have no balls, but you're looking real scared over there.
I want that as a sign for my Zoom background, Raheem. I know you came up with the term. Hedging is for gardeners. House, we got to use that more often. That needs to be a staple here on Ringer Wise Guys. You hear that, Sal? Hedging, it's for gardeners.
I love it. I don't even know if it's for gardeners. My gardener hasn't hedged. I pay him too much for do nothing, but you're right.
Yeah, I need to see the payroll there. I don't know what's going on in California, but he's not doing his due diligence. He's not doing his work. All right, it's time to start barking with Man's Best Bet. All right, I know House has been the king of Man's Best Bet, but Sal, it was your week, so you nailed everything in week 9. I know the pressure's on to nail everything here in week 10. What do you have in store for us? What dog is going to be barking, buddy?
Well, it's funny. I have Minnesota as a dog here. My grandfather always showed. I think we're going to see a picture of the Minnesota dog. Yeah, my grandfather, his parting words to me is like, if you ever need a picture of a dog wearing a girdle with your favorite team's logo on it, go to Etsy. And I thought that was very, those were profound words to sign off on. I am taking the Vikings here. I like what Josh Dobbs did. The Saints, I have going to the playoffs. I have the Vikings going to the playoffs. I feel like I look at their DVOA. It's about the same between the two defenses. And the Saints offense is erratic. We know it with Olave. Kamara moves the ball a little bit, right? But Olave's erratic. Michael Thomas obviously having more problems this week, aside from even putting up a 0 last week. And I don't know. It takes forever to score. I think this is in the 21-19 range, and I don't mind taking the Vikings at all, close to plus 130. So that's my pick. That's my dog.
Guys, my underdog of the week kind of fits the description of a rat line. It could have been a rat line. We're going with that ratty dog and that happy dog for our pick. I love the Green Bay Packers at plus 152 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. You see that line at 3. The public has come in. It has pounded Pittsburgh every which way, yet the line hasn't moved off of 3. Sooner or later, we're going to have a situation where the Steelers, who have been outgained in every single game so far this year, it ends up evening out at some particular point in time. You want to tell me the Steelers are the lucky team of the year? You want to tell me that last year's Minnesota Vikings? Maybe you can make that argument, but I don't think it happens this week. This line stinks to the high heavens. I know there's no justification for backing Jordan Love on the road against that Steeler defense. But why is this line 3? I can't get off the fact that this line is 3. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stick with my instincts here, and I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers to go and spoil a lot of public bettors' day, and I'm taking Green Bay outright. I know none of you guys are going to like this game, but that's fine. I'll be on an island by myself. That's fine. Let's go. I'm riding, baby.
JJ, I think you're definitely on the sharp side. Like you said, the Steelers have been outgaining every single game this year. I'm just scared of Jordan Love. I'm having nightmares of TJ Watt sacking Jordan Love. So I wish you the best of luck. You're on the sharp side, but I can't do it.
It's going to be gross. It's going to be ugly, and it's going to be a win.
All right, House. This is. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we go to House, this is the 2023 NFL game analysis every week. It's like, yeah, you're right. I hate this Team A, but oh boy, look at Team B's quarterback. Every single time you get stuck in that trap, right? There's no way around it.
You either got to put your money on Kenny Pickett, who has stunk, or Jordan Love, who has been worse. I'm going with the quarterback who's worse because the line stinks. Give me the Packers. All right, House. We really should be just betting you every single week in Man's Best Bet because you are the king of the dog. You are the dog extraordinaire. I'm going to think of the term. You know, like the dog walkers I see in Brooklyn that got like 10 dogs and they're multitasking. They all follow suit. They all follow your lead. So we're going to follow your lead. What's Man's Best Bet?
Well, I'm going to walk right into the trap that Cousin Sal just described, which is look at the two quarterbacks and try and pick the one that's worse and fade him. I'm on the Arizona Cardinals. This is another instance where the wise guys circle a game and said, this is a rat line. This is a rat situation. Then great. Give me the dog on the money line. Arizona getting back Kyler Murray, getting back James Conner. This is the second consecutive week that Atlanta, their defense, which some folks over the course of the year were saying, oh, maybe there's some progress out of Atlanta. Well, they lost defensive tackle Grady Jarrett, and it's been a significant loss for them. Second consecutive week that they going up against a quarterback that they can't really game plan for. They just had Kyler Murray's roommate, Josh Dobbs, last week and could not shut him down. Another dual threat quarterback in Kyler Murray. And the real thing to me is this is a rehearsal for the Cardinals. They are not trying to lose games. I think they want to see what they have with Kyler Murray and whether or not they keep him or move on. More importantly, Taylor Heineke is abysmal.
That's your guy.
You can look at, well, I bid him a fond farewell. He was a very nice guy. I think he still is a very nice guy. He just can't play quarterback in the NFL. All of the metrics show how bad he is across the board. And, you know, his grades are bottom 3 in the NFL. It doesn't matter that he's getting back Drake London. I like the Cardinals at home here, plus 120 as a dog. It's Kyler Murray's dog, swoosh. Let's go swoosh him up, K. Mighty Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Super Mouse, whatever his nickname is. I don't know. You guys know it.
Super.
Well, I know this. I'm not fading House's dog of the week. My futures bet, so maybe rooting for a different outcome, considering I have Atlanta to make the playoffs and I have Atlanta to go and win the NFC South. This is a game they need to have, but House, you're barking, so I'm staying away. Raheem, speaking of bark, rumor has it you were really rolling the dice here for your dog of the week. You're not going with one of these small pooches. I know Sal has called you out in the past for many plus 105s.
This is a good one. This is a good one.
Plus 110s. This is a monstrous dog you got for us, right, big boy?
Yeah, I've been calling people out for not having balls, so I'm going to show some big balls of my own with a large dog. I'm going with the Denver Broncos plus 265. The biggest thing with this game is when you look at the Denver Broncos defense, they were 32nd in DVOA from weeks 1 through 4. The Buffalo defense was 3rd in DVOA from weeks 1 through 4. That has reversed itself. Now the Broncos are 17th in defensive DVOA, and the Buffalo Bills are dead last in defensive DVOA. We know they lost Trey White. We know they lost Matt Milano. We saw all the injuries that this team has had defensively. And then more importantly, this Buffalo Bills offense is completely sluggish, particularly in the first half of games. Against the Bengals, they scored 7 points. Against the Giants, who everybody can score on, they scored 3 points in that game in the first half. Against the Bills, they scored 0 points in the first half against the Giants. Against the Patriots, they scored 3 points in the first half. The only team that they were able to score on in the first half was the Buccaneers, and they still almost coughed up that game. So this Bills team is a complete mess. Sean McDermott, for whatever reason, he's not opening up the offense because he wants to protect that defense. So I think the Broncos have a real chance of not only covering this game, but winning outright.
Raheem, so I understand your concern about Buffalo not being the team they've been in years past. Here's my problem, though, Sal. I still see Josh Allen. I still see a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball, the mix with Diggs. They're at home. And I kind of feel as if Denver now is getting a little too much love because of what they did against Kansas City a few weeks ago. I just am not ready to go and buy the idea that Sean Payton and Russell Wilson are going to go into Buffalo and win the game outright. I wish you luck, Raheem, because I can't stand the Bills, and it would be good for my Miami Dolphins to win a division bet. Sal, at the end of the day, though, I'm with you. Buffalo's got to be a teaser spot here. They can't lose this game.
Yeah, I understand everything Raheem's saying, and his numbers check out, but I almost think, all right, you like that, go Denver first half. If the Bills are as pitiful, and you're right, they are in the first half. But JJ, no one knows more than you what happens to this Bills team when their back is against the wall and they're coming home, right? They put the smackdown on your Dolphins, and I kind of feel like they're going to have a little bit of that swagger to them Monday night.
One thing I'd say, and this is where I'll give our buddy Dream some props for giving us a little roll of the dice and giving us some chutzpah. I don't think Denver is worth taking plus the points. I think if Denver is in the game, watch them find a way to win it because the Bills will screw it up.
Yeah.
Buffalo, a front-running team, a bully team, they might be worth an alternate spread in this spot because when they get rolling, they usually lay the smackdown. All right, our guest picks have been as bad as can be. I mean, as bad as can be. Bill might have had a parlay last week, so I want to give him credit. And he hit a tease with Zach Wilson a few weeks ago, so I got to at least acknowledge those. But our guest pick record, it's not bad. It's abominable. So it's time to step it up. Austin Gale, with all your numbers, with all your wisdom, please, my friend, what do you have? We got to get you guys on track.
What up, Ringer Wise guys? Austin Gale here from The Ringer, ready to make some money in Week 10. And where I want to start, the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray is back. Everyone wants to make the Call of Duty jokes, but this guy's back, and he's an underdog at home against the Atlanta Falcons. Plus 120 on FanDuel right now. Tell me why I should not take the money line. Why not take Kyler Murray in his first game back on the money line? Wise guys, please advise.
Well, I know this. Austin got a much better line than you did. Just throwing that out there. That's not fair.
Oh, we're on the same side, and I just like to say that Austin Gale is obviously the most handsome and smartest man that works for The Ringer, so we have to recognize that. I want to say my
Bar is so low, though. But yeah,
I got to talk about this Bills Broncos game for just 10 seconds. I promise. I'm on Dream. Dream stole my underdog pick this week. I really have concerns about the Bills on offense. They are one-dimensional now. They do not and cannot run the football. They better change that because my guy Josh Allen, he's hurt. That shoulder's hurt. He's not out running around. He's not out throwing downfield. They're not scoring a lot of points. It's a live dog. I just had to get in on my man Dream's side here.
So I sense a little division here with Broncos and Buffalo where the certain side of the screen is thinking the Broncos are going to win the game outright. Another side of the screen is definitely going to have some liability tied into the Buffalo Bills. We'll get to more of that a little bit later on in the show. But, guys, I got to hit you with an SGP. And it was a game that was an honorable mention for me as far as my wisest wager. I love the Niners today. They are coming off a bye. They are much healthier. They're going to have Trent Williams back. They're going to have Deebo Samuel back. They're going to win, and they're going to cover against Jacksonville. Then you get Deebo Samuel back. Kyle Shanahan, oh, my goodness, let's make sure he gets the football over plus 50 receiving yards done. And then Evan Ingram, the former Giant, has become a favorite target of Trevor Lawrence. So Niners laying at 3, Samuel over 50 receiving yards, and Evan Ingram plus 4 receptions, little under 3-1. Hey, I'm not complaining. Give me a winner. Give me a winner any which way. That's the way I see it shaking out for the Niners and the Jacksonville Jaguars. We haven't hit on that game yet. Raheem, healthier San Francisco. I know a lot of short money came in on Jacksonville. I don't care. I can't see the Niners losing 4 straight games, dude. I can't.
Yeah, there's sharp money on both sides. If this were to go to 3.5, you'd see money on the Jaguars. But at the opener of 2.5, you saw money all over San Francisco. Like you said, this team, they're not a team that you expect to lose 3 in a row. And they're finally healthy. Trent Williams, Deebo Samuels, Christian McCaffrey, he had that oblique injury and he was on a pitch count. So you get all of those guys healthy, and you also got to remember Brock Purdy had that concussion. So he has the bye week to clear up. And I just think they're in a good spot to win this game. I'm a little scared of it just because I think Jacksonville's a little better than what people think they are. But I think you're on the right side of this.
Yeah, I guess. I'll tell you this. Yeah, I don't think the bye week benefited a team any more than it would the San Francisco 49ers for the same reasons Raheem just brought up. And I think if you look at the Jags defense, if their numbers, they're a little bit overrated. This could be a get-right game for Brock Purdy. That said, if you like the Jaguars, they only have 2 losses. I was looking at them to be number 1 seed in the AFC. It's close to 7-1 or 7.50 to 1, 7.5 to 1. maybe jump on that. Remember, Tennessee did that a couple years ago in this garbage division, and they have a couple games left against the NFC South and their own division. So that might be a way to go.
So I like that logic with Jacksonville. The only problem they might run into, Sal, they lose the head-to-head tiebreaker with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Right.
So if they finish with the same record as Kansas City, they're not going to have that.
I forget everything I said then, JJ.
Well, no, but hold on now. They got a monstrous game with Baltimore in a few weeks on Sunday night.
Yeah.
So if they win that game against Baltimore, maybe they have some tiebreakers working in their favor. So something to think about there with the Jaguars, best record in the AFC. All right, let's get to who's in, who's out, the scratches, or who's playing here in Week 10. Justin Jefferson will not give it a go for the Minnesota Vikings. Ryan Tannehill, I mean, listen, even if he was healthy, he's not starting for Will Levis. He's out. Zay Jones is out. But this is a biggie. Jamar Chase in for Cincinnati. James Conner in for the Arizona Cardinals. So that's our scratch board. Who's in, who's out for Week 10. Now it's time for some bonus bets. We could go across the board. It could be a prop. It could be a tease. It could be something along the lines of a total. I don't know what we're doing here. So, House, the floor is yours. You have a lot of options at your disposal. What do we like, buddy?
Well, when the week started and the numbers jumped across the board, I was looking at the Cincinnati Bengals and the Seattle Seahawks around a touchdown. Sometimes it touched up 7.5. I was looking at combining those two teams in a money line parlay. I mean, in a teaser kind of capacity, but it turned out the way that the lines went over the course of the week, it made more sense to play them as a money line parlay. So I'm playing the Seattle Seahawks and the Cincinnati Bengals as a money line parlay. I think you can get that number all the way down. It's near even money, like minus 109 or something. We made the case for Seattle winning outright at home in a get-right situation for them against my Seawards, who were traveling as many miles as the United States can accommodate, and they've been on the road most of the past 6 weeks. On the Bengals side, enormously important news that Jamar Chase is playing. That receiver room is crucial, obviously, to Joe Burrow, but really this is me fading Houston on the road. Radically different team on the road. They're young. They'll get there. I've been so impressed by C.J. Stroud, but I just think the Bengals hold serve so that they're going into the Thursday night football game against the Baltimore Ravens. Crucial game. They cannot afford to lose this game against Houston, and I don't think they will. Moneyline parlay, Bengals and Seahawks.
All right, you're going down that road with the 6.5, 7, 6-point favorites. I'm going to do something similar, House, but I'm going with two different teams. I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens. Give me the Ravens to win the game. Not getting cute. They are not losing to Deshaun Watson at home. They've just been a wagon. They have been a monster at home, and they're going to sweep the Cleveland Browns. And then Sal's going to like this. I got the Buffalo Bills. Give me the Buffalo Bills at -1. Give me Baltimore at basically to go and win the game, 0.5, whatever you want to call it. It's -134. That's fine. I'm laying the juice. These two teams find a way to get it done. And Raheem, unfortunately for you, the big dog is not going to be barking that much. So that's my two-team tease. Sal, what do you have in store?
Well, what I have in store is the same thing I've been telling you jabronis for weeks now. Steelers opponent first half, Steelers to win the game. You get 7-1 odds for it. It's hit 3 times this year, right around 10-1, 10-1, and 7-1. So it's up 21 units. They did this against the Ravens. They did this against the Rams. They did this last Thursday against Tennessee. Because of the ineptitude of Matt Canada, they are still in these games, but not putting up any numbers in the first half. Raheem mentioned it. They have been gained yardage-wise every single game this year. So you can keep investing in crypto, keep investing in Radio Shack, or bet this thing. I'm telling you to take it. Steelers opponents first half. Steelers to win the game, get 7-1. All right, if that scares you a little, take a tie for the first half and Steelers to win the game 13-1. But officially, 7-1. Come on, JJ. Jump on this with me.
You're going on, and you know what? It's a nice hedge if the Packers end up blowing up in my face. And it's been terrific for you all year, so I see the logic, my friend. And might throw a little sprinkle. Even though hedging is for gardeners, it would be a little bit of a hedge. All right, Raheem, what do you got for our bonus bet?
We're going to go with the Ravens Seahawks moneyline parlay -119. As House, pointed out earlier, sometimes it makes more sense to go with a money line parlay as opposed to a teaser. You look at a lot of the teaser prices right now, they're getting expensive, laying minus 130, 140, minus 150. So we're going to go with the money line parlay on this. Ravens, third best DVOA of all time, league best, plus 115-point differential, taking on a Browns team that's missing their 2 starting tackles. Jedrick Willis, Jack Conklin is already out. And this Browns team, to me, I just don't know how they're going to score many points, as House hinted out earlier. And then when it comes to the Seattle Seahawks, teams that lose by 20 or more the previous week, facing a team who did 84-55-1, that's 60% against the spread since 2020. I think it's a rough travel spot for Washington. We know Sam Howell likes to take a lot of sacks. And with them playing in Seattle, I think that 12th man is going to have some real impact, and he's going to be hitting the ground all day. So, Seahawks, Ravens, moneyline parlay minus 119.
All right, whole lot of action with those medium-sized favorites. That seemed to be a common theme for House, Raheem, and myself. And Sal going back to the well with the Steelers to lose in the first half, but the Steelers to go and win the game. Before we say goodbye, guys, another opportunity for the wise guys to please advise. This one comes from Jay. Wise guys, let's go. I got a 3-way tease. Raiders up to 7.5. Titans up to 7.5. Ravens to -1. It comes in at plus 126. Sal, who screws that up?
Well, here's the thing with the teasers, and I just, my rule here, and not that I went on them, but I try to not have a bad quarterback in a teaser, and it's so difficult. And Raheem, you did it nicely with Baltimore and Seattle, and you did it, JJ, with, who'd you do? You did Baltimore and the Buffalo. This, you're counting on Will Levis. You're counting on Aiden O'Connell. So I think someone screws this up. I'd stay away. I'm sorry. I know you already made it, so you can't stay away.
Dream, who screws this up?
I'm going to say Titans, just because that secondary, it has real issues going to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So I think that game has the highest variance. You could probably see a blowout either way.
Boys, an outstanding Week 10 Ringer Wise guys in the books. What you all want to do is come on our digital platforms. We will be live watching the Colt Patriot fourth quarter. We will see if my Colts wager is going to go up in flames. Joe House already nailed his winner, so he's going to be in a glorious mood. We'll be back same time, same place next week, FanDuel TV. I'll be coming back from a wedding, so I might still be in my tuxedo. I don't know what to tell you. But for Cousin Sal, Joe House, Raheem Palmer, John Jastremski signing off. Enjoy all the football. We'll see you next week on FanDuel TV. Come follow us on the digital platforms. Be good, everybody. It's bonus time here on Ringer Wise Guys on our digital platforms with Cousin Sal, Joe House, Raheem Palmer, and John Jastremski. We're monitoring the fourth quarter of this Patriot Colt game, and I can sense it already, guys. As you see our picks, we gave these out before the show. Raheem basically called an audible. His under is going to be a stone cold lock. You know what I'm sensing, Raheem, that's going to be a disaster for me? I am sensing New England, who is so inept on offense, kicking a field goal here to make it a 1-point game, that it's going to be the double whammy for me. Because I want the Patriots. If they're going to cover, they better win the game because I don't want them with the number 1 pick. So watch the Colts win this game by 1. You know that possibility is staring me in the face, dude.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Patriots are going to win this game. Like I said it before. I think, even if they kick a field goal here, Gardner Minshew probably goes 3 and out and they kick another field goal. I just think this is the Patriots game to win. Obviously, it is 2nd and 12 right now, so they're a little behind the 8 ball. So that field goal is probably coming, but I just think it's their time. I mean, at some point, you're not just going to keep losing all these close games like this. They lost a heartbreaker to the Washington football team last week. So
they can't kick a field goal here, can they? I mean, you
guys
are like 2 plays.
Yes,
you guys are 2 plays ahead of me here.
Sal, have you watched Belichick coach the last 2 or 3 years? I mean, listen, he's an all-time great. The guy's going to end up in Canton. The old man football from Belichick the last few years and kicking field goals is embarrassing. And speaking of which, that is something that I think we need to do a better job of in discussing and talking about with all of you guys and gals out there. The idea, Sal, that certain coaches now, what their 4th down strategy is going to be. You know how they're going to kind of handicap certain situations. That comes into play when you have certain spreads like 2.5, 6.5, whatever it may be, knowing, hey, Mike McDaniel is going to be a lot more aggressive or Sirianni is going to be a lot more aggressive. And then you got other coaches that are going to go and kick field goals like Dable and Belichick.
I mean, not to cut you off, but you almost can't blame Belichick for not being aggressive because Mac Jones just threw an interception. Nobody.
Oh, yes. Yes.
They're probably not. Good news, JJ. They're probably not kicking a field goal here.
Well, that is stellar. See, this is what happens when I actually pay attention to you guys. And I'm not pulling the stunt I did last week during digital time where you guys got the side of my head as I was sitting there watching the Miami Dolphins fail to capitalize. I mean, wasn't that perfect timing?
I don't know what he was. I don't know what he was trying to accomplish on that pass. It was just like,
he stinks.
Somebody else would have picked that off if the initial guy. That was so bad.
But the crazy thing is though, the Colts are going to go 3 and out, and the Patriots going to get the ball back and win.
Yeah. I think your -1.5, JJ, is safe. I mean, I know what you're saying about handicapping some of these coaches, but you can't not take -1.5 because you think the game's going to end 10-9 because of Belichick, right? It's all a mess anyway.
I have to be honest. If I could do it again, I probably would have laid a little extra juice on FanDuel and just taken the Colts on the money line. I might have dropped the ball on that. Like when you get to 2 and beyond, it's like, all right, then you got to lay the points. But like at 1.5, what was it? Dream, I should have just taken a money line. What was I doing, bro?
I mean, well, it might have been like -135 or something like that. So it just depends on when you got it. Maybe -140 or something like that.
Well, it might have been worth it. I mean, in this case, it definitely might have been worth it. House, how does it feel knowing that out of the 4 of us, you're the only one that could put the feet up saying, hey, I cashed my wager on this game. Isn't that nice?
I absolutely played it the way I wanted, which is to have nothing to do with it whatsoever. You can't put yourself in the hands of these garbage quarterbacks. I wonder if it violates the collective bargaining agreement for the Patriots to write an incentive package to Jones to help them lose games. Can you do that? Is that what?
Yes, you can definitely do that.
Yeah, it seems like because he is actively implementing the game plan if the game plan is to lose games. Although I will say this, Dream's idea of Gardner Minshew doing his part here, Patriots are live at +430 on the money line right now on FanDuel.com. Get on the sportsbook and drop a dime on that. I'm not by a dime, I mean literally 10 cents.
Sal, it's weird. We have rooted against the Patriots for so many years because of how they've tormented the league and obviously the standard of excellence that they were with Brady and Belichick.
Right.
Don't you find it weird now that we're going to be sitting there, you and I, because we don't want Simmons and we don't want our buddy Brian Barrett to have the #1 pick in the draft. They don't deserve it. They've had too many nice things in football over the last 20 years of their life. They don't deserve the #1 pick. Somebody else deserves it. I'm going to find myself rooting for the Patriots a lot here in these games down the stretch. Big Patriot fan I'll be.
I am too. I hate that they get it all ways, however they want it. The Patriots get it. Now they want to lose. Now, like you said, they want to get the number 1 pick. It's like if Brad Pitt was like in a horrific accident and his face was all burned. He's like, you know what? I'm going to go whatever. I don't care what kind of women I end up with now. It's like, shut up. Just take it, Patriots fans. You suck. And by the way, just pick the wrong quarterback. How much do we want them to pick the wrong quarterback here?
Oh, desperately. You know what else I want? I want the Patriots to hire Josh McDaniels back. I want Josh McDaniels to be the next head coach. Give him a lifetime contract, please. Right. Josh, we want you back in New England. Let Simmons and Barrett and Portnoy and all these guys drum up the Josh McDaniels head coach campaign. Please, I would love it. All right, what do we got coming up? We'll have Shield, Solak, extra point taken. They got some winners for us, I hope. They better be on our side with these games. That's coming up right after this.
All right, we are back on extra point taken. I've got 2 locks that I like, and then I have a list of like 7 games. So I'm like, all right, I guess I got to pick one of these for my third one. Where are you? Do you have 3 solid ones that you like? Are you debating any? Where are you at?
I have 4 that I like, and then I know for sure I'm doing 2, and then the last 2 I got to figure out. My first pick is Niners -3 on the road against the Jags. Kyle Shanahan has historically had a really good Niners team post-bye. Last year they were 4-4 before the bye, 9-0 afterward. The season previous they were, I want to say, 2-3 before the bye, and then 8-2 afterwards. They tend to be really, really strong coming out of the break. Deebo Samuel expected back for this game as well, being a big deal for the 49ers. Trent Williams is a question mark. No practice on Wednesday, limited practice on Thursday. We'll see. But just the return of Deebo, I think, is really important to this team. I also think it's a huge McCaffrey day. Jaguars tend to be one of the worst defenses against running backs catching the ball, and Christian McCaffrey tends to be, the best running back at catching the ball.
I went with the Jaguars. I understand your reasoning. I think it's valid. I will say, looking at the spreadsheet here, when your locks of the week now overlap with my picks from my weekly column, those are at 61%. This doesn't fall into that category, but for the listeners, keep that in mind. When we have the overlap, maybe we can actually pick a game right this season. So that's something to keep in mind here. All right, my first one. I'm sticking with the Bills, baby. Bills -7 against the Broncos. We talked about them on Monday. Listen, I'm just picked the Bills every week.
Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football?
This is Monday Night Football.
Monday Night Football,
I think,
okay.
Right? Yeah, so we'll be talking about this game on Monday. We both said on the Monday show last week, we're not ready to bury the Bills. And now all of a sudden, they're 5-4, and they're looking around, and Latavius Murray is calling players-only meetings, and they're like, what has happened to our team? Did we just blow this window? Yeah, go ahead.
I went to Buffalo for training camps this year, and the piece that I wrote off of that, and the reason I went was just like walk around and be like, how's everybody doing? We okay? Like, there's nothing harder in the NFL. It is so much easier to be 500 than it is to be close, but not quite. Bills might win by 90 in this game just to make everything feel right. Second game for me, Vikings +3 at home against the Saints. If I like the under,
we got the same game.
If I like the under in a game, and I'm typically just going to like the dog just by virtue of the math. I especially like an opportunity where I think there's going to be a lot of turnovers. There's going to be a lot of chaos, opportunity for defensive touchdowns here. Even if they aren't back to full health, if I get them with some surprising availabilities and get them at greater health, then all the better for it. I like the matchup for them, especially on defense, where I think that they're going to cause a lot of problems for Derek Carr and for this Saints passing attack. And so Vikings +3, I think, is a fun look this week.
Now, listen, maybe we're getting suckered into the Dobbs, Minnesota story, but I don't know. Kevin O'Connell's done a really good job. Flores has done a really good job. Derek Carr, by the way, against the spread, favored by 3 points or more in his career, 8-25-2. That's from the Action Network. So I generally like to fade Derek Carr as a favorite there. So I'm with you. All right. What do you have now? I've got this list here for my third one. So if you pick one of these, I'm not going to pick it because I don't want to have 2 that are the same as yours. So you tell me what you've got, and then I'll go with something else.
So I like Texans +6.5, but I also it's a rookie quarterback versus Lou. It goes against my core beliefs, the dogma of Ben Solak to take Texans +6.5. So I want to take Lions -3. That's what I want to do. But I'm curious what you think.
Well, I like the Bengals -6.5. So if you want to have a pick off and you want to do the Texans and I'll do the Bengals, we could do that. Bengals that's a tough one. I went back and forth for a while. I settled on the Bengals. So you know what? Looking at it, and yeah, I had Lions -3 at Chargers as one I was looking at. I had Ravens, but I already have, a pick on them earlier in there. The Titans and the Raiders, I like a little bit.
Too much uncertainty in Texans Bengals. You brought up Titans Buccaneers. I have Titans in teasers at +7.5. I have Texans in teasers at +12.5. I'll take the Lions. I think the Lions offense dramatically outclasses the Chargers defense. I think they're going to be able to run the ball against this team because of the strength of their offensive line, and now Dave Montgomery back. They pretty much run it against everybody.
I agree with you. Lions should be able to move the football. All right, you take the Lions -3. I'll go ahead and stick with the Bengals. Bengals -6.5 at home.
Right after I say too many injuries in this game for me, she was like, yeah, I'm going for it.
Good stuff there from our guys, Sheil and Solak. Now, last week, fellas, if you remember, a certain panelist here on Ringer Wise Guys was very conflicted, and he was very distracted, and he probably was on really bad behavior, even though you guys gave me a decent grade during the Dolphin-Chief Germany game, where obviously I had a lot invested, and I signed off with you guys, and my heart was broken when Tua, in a bad snap. Don't get me started. I tried blocking that game out of my memory. So we're going to try and recreate that, but I think it's going to be different for our buddy Brian Barrett from Off the Pike, who does a great job doing all the Boston sports stuff. The difference, Brian, for you, as opposed to what I was dealing with last week, is you now are going to be sweating out a drive, but you want your team to screw it up here at the end of the game. So how's that going for you rooting against the Patriots?
Well, it's not going that well because Gardner Minshew appears like he wants to lose the game as well. So it's not going good from that perspective. But I will say this. It looks like Bailey Zappi is going to go out here for the final drive of the game, which that could be terrible news for the Patriots because Mac Jones has been horrible. He just threw a horrible interception. Earlier in the game, he easily could have had another interception in the end zone. It felt like Mac was the perfect guy if you wanted to lose football games. Now, look, Zappi was horrible. Any action he got this season, he had a horrific training camp because if he was anything like the guy he was last year, he'd already be playing. The Patriots have one of the bottom 3 quarterbacks in the NFL right now. So I'm a little more nervous if Zappi comes into the game because maybe he'll be functional, unlike Mac Jones.
Well, it is official. Bailey Zappi will come in for the final 2 minutes. Sal, this is a franchise that had Tom Brady every year with the exception of 2008. And even the year they went without Tom Brady, they went 11-5, might I add, with Matt Castle. So they have had all of this just dominance and all of this success. Now we got Bailey Zappi coming in. I mean, my goodness.
Let's just think about this for a second. A huge Patriots fan is saying, oh, I'm bummed Bailey Zappi is coming in because it gives us a better chance to win. Like, wrap your mind around that exactly for 1 second. I mean, this presupposes that the Patriots are definitely going to make the right draft pick. Look, the quarterbacks suck in the NFL. There's going to be 5 quarterbacks in the first round for the next 7 years, and there should be until we replenish, until we figure out what happened. Why do you think that the Patriots front office is going to make the right decision as to which of the 5 you're going to pick? I mean, really, you Caleb Williams, Drake May, you know exactly right now. It drives me nuts when fans root this way.
Yeah,
I get that.
My theory on this is that I want it to be Drake May. I love Drake May. I watched him play over the past couple of weeks, and he can do everything Mac can't, which is like, throw the ball with some velocity, throw the ball out off platform, make big throws down the field. But what I think they're going to do is I think they're going to draft Shedeur Sanders just because he's Brady approved. Brady trains with the guy. Brady's had him on his podcast, and I like Shedeur Sanders. I would be fine with that pick if they get him 5th or 6th in the draft. But I think Kraft, that's the way that he moves off Mac Jones is, hey, I'm going to get Tom's guy. And Kraft's been out of the mix, man. He's bored. Look at him at this game today. He's depressed. He wants to be relevant again. You know who's like the most popular quarterback? Shedeur Sanders. He's going to get the organization a ton of attention. Now, I think that would be wrong if you're in distance to get Drake May, but I really feel like they're going to fall in love with Sanders during this process.
Okay. How are we betting who ends up with the worst record right now? Raheem, you have a bunch of candidates. Arizona's in the mix. Chicago's in the mix. Carolina's in the mix. New England might be in the mix. The Giants might be in the mix. Gut feel, fellas. Let's run around the room quickly. Who ends up with the worst record? Raheem, I'll start with you.
Ooh. Damn, I feel like you put me on the spot. This is
I
tough.
did. With Brian here, I'm just thinking, thinking aloud here. Welcome to my world.
I would have to look at the schedule. You got to come back to me on this.
Sal, I think Arizona's the team. even with Kyler Murray coming back. I just think they're set up to lose, and I think Kyler Murray gets hurt. I would bet Arizona.
I think you get all these teams at like plus 270, right? Arizona, Carolina, and the Giants. Maybe it's off 10 cents there, 15 cents there. But I'll go Carolina. I have looked at the schedule a little bit. I don't know. I watched Thursday night. Their offense is just so uninspiring, right? They had a punt return for a touchdown. Otherwise, we're talking about, back-to-back hideous. From back-to-back-to-back, really hideous. Oh, no, I guess they beat the Texans. I don't know. I'm going to stick with Carolina to have the worst record. And, of course, they don't have their pick, so it doesn't matter.
Brian, who scares you the most from that worst record standpoint? Chicago, Carolina, Arizona?
Two teams. The Giants first, just because the Patriots play them. So the Giants could easily be the team, but I'm with Sal. I think it's Carolina. And that could obviously go down as one of the worst picks in NFL history, considering you don't have a first-round pick, and the guy that went to pick after you, C.J. Stroud, already looks like a top 7-ish quarterback in the NFL. So that's bad on so many levels, and they're poorly coached. Frank Reich's an atrocious football coach.
Uh-oh, now you got House all riled up.
House.
Look out.
Uh-oh.
You like Frank Reich?
No, this is a running bit that these dummies keep perpetrating on me, because I made the observation in the summer that he was arriving in Carolina as a guy with some semblance of a concept offensively and with a winning record as a head coach, which is not something a lot of head coaches in the NFL can say. But it's fine. I think to answer the question on the table, Carolina is the worst team and the worst talent on the offensive side of the ball. But I am deathly afraid of the Giants. The Giants is who I would be betting my money on because of that head-to-head with the Patriots and where they are now in terms of their quarterback room. I mean, God bless Daniel Jones. JJ, you had him on quite a bit. He's a backup quarterback for the rest of his career now, right? If he'll be lucky to play backup quarterback in the NFL for what's left of his career after this knee injury. God bless that he got the bag when he did, but the Giants are absolutely poised in their major market with Dave Ball, the worst coach of the year after the best coach of the year, to try and resurrect something, JJ.
Yeah, and Tommy DeVito now at quarterback. So hide the women and children from a Giants perspective. I mean, you want to lose games. Tommy DeVito, who I saw at Syracuse, he stinks. That is exactly the sort of tanking quarterback you want. I know they're talking about Tyrod Taylor coming back in a few weeks. Tyrod, buddy, I love you. Go get a well-earned vacation. Maybe go hit Turks and Caicos. Maybe hit Aruba. Hey, maybe go to Greece, do Europe for all I care. You're not playing another game because I can't jeopardize the idea of going and winning some games. So good news for you, Brian Barrett, and good news for me. The Colts are a winner, -1.5. So everybody wins here. Raheem, your initial bet is a winner with the Colts and the under. Brian Barrett gets his wish. I get my wish. House won. Basically, everybody won here. Except for you, Cousin Sal, because you did too much winning last week.
Well, I'm excited for Brian. His team sucks, and that's all anybody wants in life, right? To root for a loser. So good job, Brian. The party at your place.
Yeah. Well, I got the Celtics and the Bruins that are good, so I can deal with the Patriots stinking.
You'll root against them in enough time. You'll see.
You'll see. You'll see. All right, Brian, I wanna keep the good vibes going. See, normally I'd be like, all right, the Patriots lost. You're in a rotten mood. You're actually in a good mood about this, which I understand. But now I'm going to give you the opportunity to throw some bets at the wise guys, and let's see what you have in store for Week 10. So what's bet number 1, buddy?
Okay, my first one I have, this is for plus 189. Jonnu Smith, alternate receiving yards, 25, and Kyler Murray over 25.5 rushing yards. And I know you look at the Murray thing and say he's coming off a torn ACL. I also look at the fact that other than that Patriots game last year, he hit that line in all but one game. And also, he doesn't really know the offense. We've known in the past he's not the best guy with the playbook to begin with, right? Like they put a clause in the contract. So he likes to scramble. And the other thing with Jonnu, he's hit this line in 6 games, and this is kind of an anti-Patriots thing too. He has more receiving yards and more receptions already this season than he ever had with the Patriots. Heavy play action scheme. So I almost thought about going the alternate with the 40 with Jonnu, but he's been really productive for that team. And I still don't know what's going on with Atlanta with the weapons, but the one thing that seems to be consistent is they do throw the ball to Jonnu Smith. He's like the one guy that you can depend on. He's going to get 5 or 6 targets a game. So that's plus 189. So I threw Jonnu in there just to get some value on that.
I love it. I'm absolutely on board. Jonnu Smith has been involved in the Atlanta game plan. And I think, Raheem, Kyler Murray, despite coming off the ACL, he's a scrambler. I mean, all it takes is one or two big scampers there, and you're going to hit that going away. I can't see Kyler Murray coming back here and turning himself into a pocket passer. Can you?
No, I can't at all. My biggest thing is I don't like to take a quarterback after, this long of a time. I mean, you look at the way Deshaun Watson is playing, like, he doesn't look like the same quarterback at all. So you just don't know what you're going to get from Kyler Murray. It's just, it's crazy to just expect him to be the same Kyler Murray that we saw last year off of ACL. So this is one I'd rather stay away from.
All right, so stay away for you. I'll ride it though, Brian. I like it. I'll give you an endorsement on that one. All right, your second one. You think it's some anytime props for touchdowns? What do we have in mind?
This is plus 322. Christian McCaffrey, anytime touchdown. That one kind of speaks for itself, even though he's been banged up. And Travis Etienne and Tony Pollard. Now, Etienne has had, 5 touchdowns in his last 3 games, had a receiving touchdown last week. I hit on it last week. He had 2 rushing touchdowns in each of the previous weeks. And they just feed him the ball. They throw him the ball a ton, as, of course, giving him the ball out of the backfield. So he gets a ton of touches. And then the last one, Pollard. I know that he hasn't scored many touchdowns this season, but they're playing the Giants. And I know the Dallas Cowboys have struggled in the red zone, but the Giants are one of the worst red zone defenses in the NFL. I would think that you want to get your guy feeling right and give him a touchdown when you get down there. Now, I don't want to bet on Mike McCarthy to do the right thing, but I feel like if they're going to get a touchdown out of Tony Pollard at any point, this would be the day to do it. And Etienne, as I mentioned, has been a touchdown monster. And I feel like that Jaguars defense has been overrated because of the teams that they've played. So that's where I look at the McCaffrey thing. You look at the Jaguars, like during this winning streak, they've played Atlanta, Buffalo, who that game was in London, has had their issues, Indy, New Orleans, Pittsburgh. They haven't really played anybody.
Who screws that up, Sal? Etienne, McCaffrey, or your buddy Pollard?
Well, you don't even have to give analysis for McCaffrey. He just scores every week. And if it doesn't happen, oh, well, it's not your fault. You just had it to boost the odds a little. Etienne's good. Obviously gets a good workload. But Pollard has screwed me on an anytime touchdown. Same game, probably 6 weeks. So, but that said, I think you're right. I think one of the Cowboys' 11 touchdowns today will be thanks to Tony Pollard.
And you would expect a whole lot of scoring from the Dallas Cowboys today. Sal, that's a safe eliminator pick, right? I feel like why get cute?
Yeah.
Taking the Cowboys. You got to do it. I'm gonna.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason. Now, the only thing is they play at Carolina, so they'll have another easy win in there in the next couple of weeks. So you might want to do that. But take the day off.
I don't like
the one thing I will say about the Cowboys is that there are some, eliminators or survivors where Thanksgiving is his own week. So if Thanksgiving is his own week, you kind of have to save the Cowboys.
No, that's fair. Now mine is not, Raheem, full disclosure. Mine is a standard, hey, take any team, whatever the Thanksgiving games are irrelevant. And I've gotten burned getting cute way too many times over the years trying to find like a Buffalo. And I know you don't like that particular one, Raheem, or maybe a Baltimore, which is a division game. So I'm just going to go with what makes sense. I'm going to take the Cowboys' biggest spread on the board. Now, finally, Brian Barrett, your pick for your wisest wager may align with one of our panelists' wisest wager. What would that be?
So I'm on the Ravens -6.5 for one simple reason. If you look at this game, there are 3 elite units. The Ravens and the Browns have the 2 best defenses in the NFL from an EPA perspective. The Ravens offense is elite. If you go over the past 5 weeks, they're number 1 in the NFL in EPA per play. From my perspective right now, Lamar is the MVP of the league. I think you could make a real strong argument for him. And the other thing, which is not sort of an analytical thing or a statistical based thing, is they play the Bengals on Thursday night. And you want to bank this win if you're Baltimore so you can be in control of that division, because we all know Cincinnati is playing really well right now. Burrow's playing exceptional football. He looks like the guy that's been to back-to-back AFC championships. And Deshaun Watson has been atrocious. I get they have him back, but it's not like he's this big improvement on what they've been doing previously. He's been, outside of Mac Jones, Gardner Minshew, and Zach Wilson, Daniel Jones, and Bryce Young. How many quarterbacks have been worse than Watson? He's like 23rd or worse in most categories.
Bailey Zappi. Yeah, you're right, though. You got the right.
He did throw a pick to help us out, Sal. So I got to give
That's true.
Zappy credit. He did his job. He did his job.
He did his job. As Bill Belichick once said, he did his job. And I will be teasing the Ravens. I will be betting the Ravens at 6.5. I know House likes it, so it's an endorsement as far as I'm concerned. All right, guys. Let's get to our weekly specials where FanDuel puts so many crazy odds, all sorts of crazy picks out there, and we try to have a little bit of fun and go with one week after week after week. Brian, since you're popping on with us, you have a weekly special we might like?
I get the highest scoring team is the Lions plus 1,000. So Dallas seems like the obvious answer for this, but with the Lions, you look at it, the Chargers are 24th in passer rating against at 96.6. They give up 286 yards per game, which is the most in the NFL. The other thing is this. The Chargers are just 24th in time of possession, and the Lions are second in time of possession. So maybe that hurts them a bit because they like to run the ball, but they're going to have the ball a lot more than the Chargers. And obviously, Brandon Staley is just not a qualified NFL coach at this point in time. I could see maybe Belichick taking over that organization after the season if they would have him. But I just feel like Detroit is a good play here just because of the Chargers, the fact that their defense has not been good, and secondarily, they can't have long sustained drives whatsoever. So it's just going to give the Lions more possessions.
House, I think a certain someone is aligned with you. Is that accurate?
I mean, fellas, on this show, I said that Austin Gale was the handsomest and smartest ringer employee. I got to update that. It's by far Brian Barrett, who not only is on the Ravens with me as the best bet
Theo and Solak
of the slate today. Yeah. What? But we're also in alignment on this Chargers bad defense, which is to say Detroit as the highest scoring team. The one angle that I'll share that really got me over the hump was all of the health returning to the Detroit offensive side of the football and the wonderful timing of them coming off of a bye and the Chargers on a short week coming off of Monday night back to SoFi. I like my guy Jared Goff coming back to SoFi. We're going to see Goff jerseys all over Los Angeles. This is a great bet at the 10 to 1 odds. Lot of sort of aspects of this link up. Great job by you, Brian Barrett.
Thank you, sir.
That's well played. And I think if you want to have a little bit of fun, highest scoring game on the board, Chargers, Lions, which just has nutty, insane, bizarre finish written all over it. Okay, Dream, you're going with a highest scoring game for your weekly special, but it's not the Lions and the Chargers. What would it be?
Well, I'm going with the lowest scoring game. I'm going with
lowest scoring. Okay, my bad.
Yeah, I'm going with Jets, lowest scoring team. You look at the last 3 weeks. I broke this down earlier on Ringer Wise Guys. Last 3 weeks, 20 points against the Eagles, 13 points against the Giants, and 6 points against the Chargers. So this team can't score, and their offensive line is super banged up. You got a makeshift unit. Last week gave up 8 sacks against Joey Bosa and the Chargers, and now you got to face Max Crosby, who is tied with the lead in sacks in the AFC with 9.5 sacks. So Zach Wilson really struggling, dead last amongst quarterbacks in EPA plus completion over expectation and success rate. So I'm going to take a shot on this. Jets to have the lowest scoring team plus 1,800.
JJ hates that.
Well, listen, I get the logic because Zach Wilson stinks, but the way I'd play it, Sal, is go with Jets Raiders as the lowest scoring game. That's something I would think about doing.
Not bad. I'm going highest scoring Commanders Seahawks plus 750. It's weird how much these lines move around, probably more than any other, because I had this at 12 to 1 when we did our pre-production meeting on Friday, but I'm going to stick with it. I'm not sure why it's still the 4th in the list of highest scoring potential. Lots of firepower between these two teams. House's commies, don't forget, they lit it up against the Eagles twice for 31 points. And, you have to think Seattle will get back in a rhythm after the Baltimore game. Washington's defense has fallen apart, ranking last in DVOA over the past month. No Montez Sweat, no Chase Young for the pass rush anymore. Probably should just take Seattle here, but then there's nothing special about that from the special section, is there? So highest scoring game plus 750 between these two.
All right, guys, we got a YouTube comment. This one comes from BG. Great show, guys. Sal and Raheem are legends. Yes. John, it's weird when anyone calls me John other than my mother. And Joe, we're all right. So, it's good to know. We're all right, according to BG.
Who are John and Joe?
Yeah, I was going to say John, Joe. It sounds like a couple of pizzerias that I know here in Staten Island, but just saying. Anyway, BG follows that up saying the 49ers are not losing 4 in a row. They are beating the Jaguars. Fellas, can we unite? Family play. Niners laying 3. Sal, you in?
I'm in. Throw me in
House,
there.
you win.
I'm in on that. Yes.
Barrett, you win.
I am.
Raheem.
I'm in. I'm
Yeah.
riding.
All right.
It's a very rare instance
I
when
don't
you
think we've
can
ever
get
done it.
all 5 of us to go align on a particular game. So you know what? The family's on board. Niners laying 3. They get it done against the Jaguars. Brian Barrett, thanks for joining us. Check out his podcast, Off the Pike. For House, Raheem, Sal, JJ, the Wise Guys sign off. Enjoy week 10. Great job by Jack and everybody back at the shop. We'll see you next week. Be good, everybody.
Great job, Jack.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, thanks for having me.